Hello, welcome to the DGRN podcast, number 3 here at Atlanta's Super Speedway or Motor Speedway, whichever one you want to call it. It's technically either or nowadays. Jeez Louise, my mic had a stroke or two or something. I don't know what happened. Um, I had a few things to talk about, so we'll see. Maybe we can get like one or two people on here, and if that turns out good, then who knows. Um, Hopefully, anyway. I would hope. Um, First thing I want to talk about is last Daytona 500, the Daytona 500. I think that's the best place to probably start this off. So we had the 500 take place last Saturday, I want to say. And yes, it was last Saturday. And Rory won the race. It was a really, really good race. The first 25 laps. Of course, there's no stages. So I want to get that out the way first. So there's no stages for it. So it kind of changed how you raced. But there was quite a couple of cautions, especially in the first 25 laps. And that kind of seems to me more of what can you call it? Like more of a like safety net type of thing. Like, oh, I don't really need to be super careful because of things are happening and I have up until this lap to stay all right and we'll be good. And a lot of people wrecked, flipped. Um, so it kind of gave way for that type of thing to happen, which is unfortunate, honestly. But what can you do? You know. Luckily, after lap 25, things cleaned up a little bit and had some pretty long green flag runs. We had two packs at one point. We all caught back up. The outside line was used quite a bit. And then we had a caution, I think, with like 3 to go. And actually, no, with 2 to go, coming to the white flag. Brought out the yellow with Monkey and David spinning. Except for an overtime. We only had to do one attempt, which is good. And essentially, Rory on the restart used the top line to risk not being in draft, but also getting run off the corner. And it worked out perfectly. The top line, when you were alone, this is something we actually discovered before the 500. Had a couple guys test the high line. What we figured out is that the top line, there was no one on it, more so if you're like the lead car, but if no one else was on the top, you could have a massive run, about 6 miles an hour, 6 to 5 miles an hour faster than the car behind you. So the more cars up there, the worse the run got for the rest of the field. But for the leading car, the run was going to be massive, which was what happened to Rory. And it was big in that way, I think. He got the lead and was able to hold off the entire field, gained the win. I think some drivers try to make a move off 4, just a little too late. Monkey tried to block David to get the run and misjudged it, and David had a really wild flip up and over. So that was fun to look at. Obviously not what you want to see, a car flipping over like that, but you know what happens. It's Daytona. Things kind of go awry most of the time, so I'm not entirely surprised. But yeah, Rory got the victory. And a great weekend for Rory, too. He finished 3rd in the Busch race. And he's off to a hot start, so that's really awesome for him. Real quick, we're going to take a quick look at points here in just a minute and where people finished. Because I think that's an important point to hit on. not just for the sake of, oh, well, here's how things shape up after X, Y, and Z. Also just shows you just like what we got going on and all that. So I will bring that up in just a second. It's just some slight images, nothing crazy. All right, so this is the race results for Busch. Um, they have Hydra winning the race, obviously. Mr. Beast second, Rory third, Cursed fourth, Abstract fifth, Lark sixth, XLT seventh. Those are the cars that finished. And I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, but Carwolfia parked, Liv, DNF'd herself, and then Cole finished 10th after lagging, hitting the death wall on, I think, lap 4. Points now look like this. Currently only 6 cars in the hunt right now for the points championship. And I want to make a note of this at some point. I'm not sure when. But there is a point that needs to be made about the Busch Series and the field limit. And to a lesser extent, the Cup Series as well. But for Busch, it's going to be much bigger. I guess I'll touch on that now. So, jumping forward a little bit before we get to Cup points and everything. There was 25 entrants for this weekend's race at Atlanta for Busch. 25, and only 14 cars make it. That means 11 cars are going home. And full time in the Busch Series, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 22. If I'm not wrong, I think it's 22 or 21 full-time cars. The reason I bring this up is because there's a lot of part-time drivers, or not part-time drivers. There's a lot of people in Cup, or actually just in part-time in general, that are doing the Busch races super early in the season. And if this was last season, that wouldn't necessarily be a problem. But Busch only has 10 races left in the regular season. Only 10. It is a very shortened down season. So my worry, slightly, and the big thing that was going to drive this forward as we keep going along, is that qualifying is going to, for Busch anyway, it's going to be half the battle. Cup doesn't necessarily have to worry about this too much. There's 15 full-time cars. Most speedways is going to have like a 13 to 12 field limit. So at least on the speedway side of things, you'll probably miss 2 or 3 cars at most. If everyone qualifies, assumingly. But for Busch, since the field is so big and the field size is somewhat small, the people that don't do that well, or are rookies, or just are trying to get better, they might not have a lot of shot to get better, because all these guys from either whether it be part-time starts or they're just fully part-time and doing whatever, kind of taking all that opportunity away. And I think that's a big point to kind of look at. At least for a Busch side of things. Again, Cup doesn't have to worry about this too much. But for Busch, yeah, it's going to affect the points, especially in the first early part of the season. And late in the season as well, there's a bunch of guys that are trying to run Indy. I think I counted like 3 or 4 part-time drivers running Indy. So assuming they all get in, man, oh man, it makes the cut line battle look interesting. And first week, I'm talking about points. I know, kind of crazy. It's all something to think about, Busch-wise, anyway. All right, then looking at the Cup Series results, Rory takes the victory. Again, the top line kind of being almost a Hail Mary, and it worked out in the best possible way for him. So that's big. Silent takes second place. He's currently the points leader. I'll bring that up in just a minute. Windows third. A good race for him. Lark fourth. Twisty Zach takes a top five in his first Cup start. That's pretty cool. Baker sixth. Cole seventh. David eighth. Monkey ninth. Hydra 10th. Funny enough, no one DNFs this 500. Not from like an accident anyway. Carson and Martian, they had to go, but no one DNF'd by cause, which I don't think has ever happened in the 500 before. I don't think it's going to happen next season, so this might be the one and only 500 where no one DNFs because they were in a wreck. Kind of crazy to think about. I'm not sure how he managed that, but hats off to the Cup field for the 500. And points after race 1 of 24. Silent past the points lead. Windows in second. Lark in third. This is the top 3 is like pinnacle season 11, I would say. Minus red. That's really who you're looking at for the championship. Twisty Zach finds himself in fourth. Baker's in fifth. David sixth. The reigning champion Monkey finds himself in seventh. Got some things going on in my background, but we live. Again, early on the season, I'm not sure if all these guys are going to stay around this area. Obviously, there's some big names that are not on there, at least on the points board yet. You have Tony. I say big name. He's kind of a big deal in a sense. HP, Kaiden missed the 500. Rainbow missed the 500. Charles missed it. Some guys I'd say were probably ones to look at. Genesect even would put his name in the ring and kind of be like, yeah, he's kind of important. So that's like all the Cup field stuff. And today is Wednesday, so qualifying for Busch and Cup has started. For Busch, I think 16 cars qualified thus far, which is kind of wild. 14 cars make it. So far, the top 5 are locked in, so they don't have to worry about that. Technically, yes and no, because Cole, Liv, Rack, Monkey, all are in. Neptune says, though, he can't make it. So, what we're going to do, I'm not going to invalidate his time, but that would put, assuming that he can't make it and whatnot, that would put Mr. Beast in 5th, Curse 6th, Lark 7th, B-Rad 8th, Michi 9th, Wicked 10th, NCG 11th, Rainbow 12th, Abstract 13th, Hollows 14th. So keep an eye on Neptune. I mean, if he doesn't make the race, he just says, "Oh, I'm not gonna make it. It's whatever." Then, it is what it is. I don't feel like having someone who's just not gonna make it and declares that they're not gonna make it. He gets to take a spot from somebody else that could make it. But he had a really good time. But thus far, then, because Neptune cannot make it, I'll make it 24 technically entrants. Yeah, top 5 are all in. Actually, maybe top 6. So that make 10. So, technically 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, make sure I counted that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So with Neptune out, that actually makes it top 6. Yeah, I thought it was top 6, but wasn't quite sure. So Curse is in the show for sure. 7th through 14th are not entirely safe. Probably if you're 7th through 9th, I'd say you have a decent shot of making it. It's nothing really ever confirmed or anything. So we'll have to see how they will do come Thursday, which is the final day for Busch and Cup qualifying, it's also the Busch race, so that is that's fun. And Cup had their qualifying not too long ago. Um, just yesterday. Currently, Lark sits on the top, Kaiden second, Monkey third, Wicked fourth, Twisty Zack fifth, Silent Volcano sixth, Charles seventh, Tony eighth, David ninth, which the top 9 in Cup are safe. Cursed 11th, Cursed 10th, Baker's 11th, excuse me. Martian 12th, Windows 13th. Now, it should be noted that Baker's hit the death wall on his lap. So, if he does make the show, he will start at the rear of the field. So, his time matters but doesn't matter at the same time. So, he's just really just hoping that he just makes the show and see where to go from there. And that's all Atlanta qualifying so far. We still have Thursday to go to and then the actual race. So that should be fun. I was gonna ask somebody to be in the podcast with me. God. Other storylines as well, other than Kovalchuk leaving and whatnot. There's just been big kind of like talk of like, what's gonna happen with Liv and stuff, since she actually declared she was gonna race Atlanta a little late. So what I decided to do is that she will get to race and whatnot. She will not be able to practice for Las Vegas, and we'll have to do one lap of qualifying in order to get into Las Vegas. So that is the current situation with the 54. Will that hold up? Or maybe not. Who knows? Atlanta will be stages, at least for the Cup side of things. We won't have a non-stage race for a little while, actually. It'll take a couple races to get to a non-stage one. And for Busch, it'll take a little less longer. Get Rockingham. For Cup, you have to wait all up until Charlotte. And you get 2 in a row with Charlotte and North Wilkesboro. It's kind of on and off toward the end of the season. So I think that's going to be big. One thing also with the non-stages stuff, right? Because there's non-stages at the end of the regular season. Bristol and Talladega, and throwing Michigan in there, are going to be really important to do well in stages, race, and whatnot. Because yes, winning one of those non-stage races are huge for points, but it's not a guarantee you will. In fact, if you get really anywhere from like 6 to or worse, you have a horrendous points day against everyone else who finishes above you. So that's the biggest thing I think. You really have to take advantage of the stage races for the stages to kind of save your points and not, totally kill your momentum. Because if you don't have a good race, those non-stage race, man, it's gonna be rough out there. It will be rough. It is. It's not. They're not there to play, bro. We'll just say that they are not there to play, for real. But I digress. No, I'm not gonna go super crazy on that. I think that's all there is to it for this week, or at least for this podcast. Might have another one at some point later down the week or next week for Las Vegas, which will be very fun. Yeah, so Silent currently holds the points lead for Cup. Big threat. You should watch him. And Rory leads the points after having an insane weekend at Daytona. So maybe watch out for Rory. He might be a dark horse as well. We'll just have to see. And now that I think about it, there is one thing I wanted to see, which is predictions. Ha ha ha. Nearly forgot. What do these week's predictions look like? Alright, well, let me see here. What do these predictions look like? That's the big question everyone's got in their mind. Not anything else. It says, what does the predictions look like? Alright. This is assuming people qualify, right? I think. So we have B-Rad, who's not on the sheet now. Predicts Wicked Boy wins the race. Wicked predicts XLT. Liv predicts B-Rad. Y predicts himself. David predicts Monkey the Hops. I predict Abstract. We'll see how right that is. Wyatt still needs to qualify. So does XLT. And Wicked's not safe. Neither is Abstract, so we'll have to see. And then for Atlanta. And then for Atlanta, there's Kaiden with me and Mark. Liv predicts Monkey. Monkey predicts Rainbow. David predicts Monkey. Kaiden predicts Monkey. Tony predicts Rainbow. Wicked predicts Windows. Wyatt predicts Bakers. Twisty Zack predicts Kaiden. And B-Rat predicts Silent Volcano. So the favorites seem to be Kaiden, Monkey, really just those two, and then you have some rainbows in there, Bakers, Windows, Silent. So it's kind of two cars that are the big favorites. We'll see where they all stack up. Both Kaiden and Monkey are safely into the show, so second and third. So I think most of them will have a shot at getting at least something. And with that, I believe that will end today's podcast. Again, not in my usual setup, but I don't think we're going to be in our usual setup for very many of these races. Kind of just sitting in victory lane here, just kind of waiting for the chaos to commence. But that will be all. Thank y'all for watching. We will come back sometime soon for the next podcast, and hopefully we'll have a guest this time around. After done the first 3 by myself. They've been fun to do by myself, but my voice will die. It's not sustainable, but hope you're